Today was the first day of the year that we had a high heat advisory in our area. The heat index was up to 115 degrees, and so we woke up early in order to drench the garden with water, make sure all of our fruit trees had water, made sure all of the animals had adequate water, and basically we resolved to stay inside until it was safer to be outside. My daughter and I came out around noon and double checked that all the waters were filled up and that all the animals seemed fine. And then we went inside until around 5. And by 5 o'clock, things were not fine. My daughter actually noticed that one of our meat rabbits was not looking well. Normally our meat rabbits just kind of sit there on their stomachs with their feet forward, and they might put their head back a little bit in the heat. They might twitch their nose extra fast. But this rabbit was on his side, his mouth was open, he had lots of fluid around his nose and mouth, and he was seizing. We kept the bunny inside for 3 hours until 8:30, until sundown. And during that time, he had several seizures. We put a cool pack on his ears to try and help expedite his cool down process without going too fast. You can absolutely cool down mammals way too fast and cause more problems, but he wasn't coming out of it, so Levi put him down. So I came down to the barn this evening to milk and to tell you all about this, and I found another one of our meat rabbit bucks dead in his cage. All of our heavy breed does seem fine. 2 of them have kits on them right now, and all of our smaller breed rabbits are really handling everything fine. It was just the heavy breed males. We lost both of them today.
I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day. I'm trying to make this darkness go away. I'll paint with color and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day.
So hindsight is 20/20, and clearly 5 hours between checks on the animals with heat advisories like that is far too long, and I am entirely responsible for the loss of those bucks. So I've got some changes to make so we don't lose any more rabbits. They have heat advisories for tomorrow and the next day, and so I'm going to be down here constantly making sure that our remaining rabbits are as comfortable as they can be.
I will leave my windows open so that I can make the sound of people talking and the wind blowing in the trees.
Good morning. It's the next day. My daughters and I are going to get an early start in moving some of the rabbits out of the rabbitry and out here into our grow out pen area. These hutches are a lot cooler in the summertime. We have this Rex rabbit out here, and Rex rabbits have lots of nice plush fur, and he wasn't experiencing any sort of heat stress yesterday, so we need to increase the odds of success and survival for the rest of our rabbits and bring them out here. See the color of our barn? Dark colors really absorb the sun's heat. This was not a smart color for this barn. We didn't paint it, but we didn't know it wasn't a smart color when we bought the farm. I mean, we still would have bought the farm anyways, but we probably would have painted this a lot sooner. Painting the barn a lighter color is definitely bumped up on the priority list. Don't drop him.
Well, he's okay.
When I'm carrying a rabbit a relatively long distance, this is how I like to do it. Sometimes if they're not used to being handled a lot, they get nervous and they'll kick and thrash and they can really hurt themselves. Keeping their eyes covered really helps them feel safe. I've got her rear end supported back here, and we're just gonna walk her over into the cage. These guys are really cute. We actually don't use these types as meat rabbits anymore. These ones we sell to the farm store as pets.
I'm gonna let the past be filled with smoke, and I will try to fix what has been broken. this weight off my shoulders, 'cause I know yesterday ain't coming back. I'm gonna let the past stay in the car.
You might notice, whoo, oh my gosh, this is actually a good example. You might notice that when I'm picking up the bunnies, I'm picking them up by the middle of their back instead of behind their ears, which we normally would probably call the scruff of the neck. And that's because sometimes when bunnies aren't used to being handled, they flail around like that. And if they have a lot of freedom of movement of their spine, they can kick around so hard that they break their back. So picking them up like this helps prevent that. These rabbits are not used to being held like our feed store bunnies are, so this is how I'm gonna handle these guys. The fan's doing, it's going as fast as it possibly can in here. So as far as keeping our plants cool in this heat, we do have a 30% shade cloth over our greenhouse. Not gonna lie, I wish it was something more like 40 or 50%, but that was expensive, so that's what I have. We have a couple different vent types. We have passive ventilation, which is this one right over here, where it doesn't actively move the air through itself. It just allows for airflow when there's a breeze available. The roll-up sides in the greenhouse will work the exact same way. And when the wind isn't blowing very well, that's when the solar fan can take over. It's 94, but this is also a greenhouse. It's generally designed to retain heat, so I guess I'll take what I can get. It's only 10 a.m. though. Did you guys notice this volunteer that we have? Some kind of melon. Honestly, now that I stepped outside the greenhouse, it is warmer outside the greenhouse. That's a weird phenomenon. We're fortunate that we have electricity in our barn and we're able to run fans, and this is going to help provide the rabbits with evaporative cooling through their ears. They do not love this. When the water evaporates off of their ears, it causes the heat to be drawn out of the ear and in essence out of the body of the rabbit. It cools their whole body down to have that evaporative cooling effect. I did not do this yesterday, and had I done it, I would have been in here more often to notice the signs of heat stroke. One of the reasons I wasn't sure that I wanted to keep up with it is the rabbits don't love it. It does stress them out. It makes them run around the cage. Inevitably, it gets their heart rate up, so I wasn't sure that it wasn't having a negative effect. But comparing last year to this year, it seems like it's worth doing. Another way to use evaporative cooling to benefit your rabbits on days like this is to spray the tops of the hutches with water. As it evaporates, it draws the heat out from the surface and keeps everything underneath as cool as possible. I did go ahead and water the garden very deeply yesterday morning before the real heat set in, and I'm not gonna need to water the garden every day through this heat wave, but what I am gonna do is make sure that I do water over the areas where I've just planted seeds. Some of these seeds are planted only an inch down, and it really won't take long in this heat for the water to evaporate out of the soil in that kind of a depth. So I am going to go through here every day over where I planted seeds or where I have brand new seedlings and make sure that they've got the available water that they need to germinate and establish well. Hey Pig. Hey Pig. How you doing, Pig? Levi did just install this little shady oasis for the pigs out here. They've extended their wallow to be underneath the shade. Pigs are really smart. He'd rather lick me. Having an alternate water source all year round is really smart when you have animals like goats who have like a hierarchy system. I can't kneel around her, I know better. You sweet. Because sometimes certain goats that are higher up in the hierarchy can guard food areas or water areas, and you want to make sure that the animals all year round, not just on hot days, have access to multiple different feed and water areas so that no one misses out. We have quite a few goats with horns. We have quite a few goats without horns. But the goats that have horns have an extra benefit. Come here, Tumnus. The goats that do have horns have an extra benefit in the heat, where their horns act like the rabbit's ears, act like elephant ears in the heat. The goat's horn has a really big blood vessel that runs through it, and their blood is able to cool as it's basically outside the body at that point. And so the horns help provide those goats with their own built-in AC. Not every colony is bearding like I expected them to. Bearding just describes the behavior when the bees all come out of the hive, not all of them, but a lot of them, in order to free up some space for airflow in there. They'll all fan their wings and direct air out of the hive, and in combination with some of the cells that they've filled with water, it acts like an air conditioning system in there, and it's quite brilliant. So these ones are bearding a little bit. And these ones are bearding kind of a lot. This colony here on the end has a massive population of angry bees. We've got one on you now. I need to requeen this colony, but I've been avoiding it. Ooh, ooh, they're coming after you. Ooh, ooh. Yeah. Dang it. Well, I guess I'll go the long way. They've been the problem colony. Gosh, I wish I could show you what they're doing. That large orange colony, it's actually the swarm that I caught that I almost hit with my lawnmower. It's got a queen from last year. My neighbor kept bees last year, and his queens were quite testy, and I think that their queen has some of those genetics. And I have read too that hot days kind of agitate the bees. And I think that's true. Doing good. There we go. That sped it up. And it's 105 in here. Doesn't really feel like it. Ooh, that's not good. Oh no. That is not okay. Honestly, I didn't think the wind was that bad. But problem being, when pepper plants or any plants that are taller and have a heavier fruit on them, when they get a little bit bogged down with that fruit, sometimes it doesn't take much. And I want to get these peppers off before they start to wilt. They're already starting to wilt a little bit. This sucks. Here's our unintended pepper harvest for the day. Everything worked out as well as it could have yesterday in the heat. This was not an exhaustive list of all the things that can be done to keep rabbits cool in the summer. I actually took a video at some point last year, and it goes through a little bit more as far as what to look for and other things you can do to keep rabbits cool. If you're interested in that, I'll leave it up here.